What's up, guys? This is Boltstruck with Duck, and today we're going over Chargers training camp so far. So for this video, I'm just going to give you guys some major updates that have happened throughout training camp and keep you guys up to date. So all of these updates are just an amalgamation of different reports, reporters, Chargers social medias, and videos that I've seen. So we'll start with the good news, and then we'll work our way into the bad news and the scary news. So the good news is that the defense, particularly the defensive backs, look really, really good. We just started joint practices with the Rams, and Christian Fulton, who you guys may have already forgotten, we picked up as a cornerback, seems to be looking really, really well in these joint practices, as well as the defensive backs and the defense have looked solid throughout camp, which is awesome. It's always hard to judge D linemen, edges in training camp, right? Because you're not normally going 100%. They do things like one-on-one drills, things like that where you get probably a better estimate, and because you can't truly sack the quarterback, right? It's a whistle sack, it's an air sack. But so at least the secondary seems like it's doing really well, which is awesome. Because even people like me have been saying, and I still believe that we should pick up another corner, but maybe they're happy with the guys they have in-house. So that makes me happy to hear. So segueing into the quote-unquote bad news, there's been some reports coming out. You guys probably saw the one within the last couple of days that the offensive line is not looking great. I would say be hesitant freaking out because, one, it is all new offensive linemen switching in and out of different roles. Right, so obviously Joe Alt being a rookie, our center is new. Guys like Trey Pipkins, Jamari Salyer are switching around throughout the line. And again, like I mentioned earlier, where it's hard to judge this position in training camp. It's not, full contact. It's no one's getting sacked. Justin Herbert is injured right now, which we'll get into later, but so he can't, use his pocket presence, shift the line, things like that. So I wouldn't freak out just yet. Not a ton of news on the Joe Alt front, which with offensive linemen, sometimes no news is good news, right? Offensive line is the least recognized position in the NFL. So typically, if you don't hear anything about them, they're probably doing a solid job. So I also wouldn't freak out about hearing no Joe Alt news. I see people watching Malik Neighbors footage and freaking out, that we haven't heard anything good about Joe Alt. I think with offensive linemen, if they fly under the radar, if you don't hear about them, it's normally a good thing. We'll hear about him hopefully when he's in the Pro Bowl or, doing really, really well. But so far, I wouldn't freak out. I don't think that's a huge deal. And finally, the scary part, like I alluded to earlier, the injuries. So people are speculating that this Harbaugh staff is just being very, very careful with injuries, which we would really hope so, because it seems like there's 12 injuries a day to big-name players. So it's either one of two things. It's either everyone is going to be injured, we're going to have a completely new team by the time the season comes around, or the coaching and training staff is just like, hey, if anything bugs you, you're sitting out. So hopefully it's the latter. We have heard that Harbaugh's training camps are notoriously tough. People have said it this year, that it's the toughest training camp they've been at. Hopefully they taper, back the intensity as the preseason rolls around. Hopefully these are preventative. But Joey Bosa has been banged up a little. A lot of offensive linemen have been banged up, which again goes back to the last point. Hopefully if everyone's healthy, it's just a lot of weird circumstances. Obviously the big one right now is Justin Herbert is in a boot with a foot injury. And it's weird. Depending on who you hear from, people are like, it's a 3-day, rest, relax thing, and then other people are like, oh, it's gonna sideline him for a season. People go back to Antonio Gates dealt with the same exact injury. He played during the season, but he was in and out during the season. Not a great year. It is different positions. Obviously, tight ends have to run and put more pressure on the foot, so Thankfully, Herbert being a quarterback, I know the idea was to get him to run more this year. Maybe they taper that back, but maybe he's good by week 1. It is predicted that he will start by week 1, so I wouldn't freak out. It does at least seem like it's preventative. It does seem like a lingering injury that would bother him, but Herbert played with bruised ribs. I don't think he's going to let this stop him. So I think he'll be fine. So those are kind of the biggest updates through training camp so far. Let me know what you guys think is the most important update either I discussed or you've heard. Let me know down in the comments below. And do you think Justin Herbert will be ready to play by week 1 at the Raiders? Make sure to like the video if you like the video. Click to the left to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.